Welcome to the Scottish Motor Racing Club Scottish Formula Ford 1600cc Championship. The cars are on the grid. Ross Martin's on pole position from Jordan Gronkowski, Seb Melrose and Neil Broom, the front two rows. We're already under starters orders. Lights coming on the Beatson's Building Supply Bridge, and here we go. Let's see who gets the jump down towards Duffus Dip for the first time of asking, and it's Ross Martin who manages to get away nice and cleanly as we jump straight on board with Neil Broom, the number 3 car, and he's looking back at Matt Chisholm now as they come down towards Duffus Dip, but Neil will get through that corner ahead of him. But it's Ross Martin who leads already quite handsomely as they come through turn number 3, which is McIntyre's, Jordan Gronkowski, then Seb Melrose, and newcomer Gary Sykes there, showing very well in his Ray, run by the Graham Brunton Racing Squad, as the rest of the guys all power their way up the back straight towards Clark Corner. But look at the style of Ross Martin as he comes through Clark Corner. Gronkowski kicks up a bit of dust, a bit of opposite lock there from Neil Broom. And Neil Broom, a man who just needs to string together a good couple of races, and you feel the form is going to come there. He showed glimpses of it last year in 2017, but can he show us a full campaign in 2018 with the speed that we know he has? Over the line, there you go, Ross Martin, Gronkowski, Melrose and Sykes. Broom with Chisholm right behind him. Neil Broom's going to have to be checking his mirrors as they go underneath the bridge in towards Duffus Dip here, because Matthew Chisholm is a hard-charging young driver, young man from Perth. Let's see how he gets on this year in his Van Diemen. Jordan Gronkowski coming under a bit of pressure from Seb Melrose, and we really need to see Seb flourish this year. This is a big year for Sebastian Melrose, and we know he's capable of it. Race winner in the past around the tricky Knockhill circuit, and let's see how he gets on in 2018. Matthew Chisholm there already, though, still on the back of Neil Broom. Look how sideways Melrose coming to view at Clarkson, and Broom as well. A lot of these guys struggling a little bit with grip, and that's possibly understandable because the circuit was covered in snow just only 2 days ago, so thankfully the weather has improved considerably. But in towards the apron now, look at that, look how close Neil Broom gets. A little bit of understeer there as the car maybe turns in, but he was right up behind Gary Sykes, and this is a fabulous showing by Gary Sykes. We've got to say that. This is a drive we didn't see coming. He's in the GR10, the 2010 spec Ray, as Melrose now starts to make eyes and moves at the back of Jordan Gronkowski in that Van Diemen as they go into the top of Duffus, through Leslie's and now through McIntyre's, the next corner. Very tricky right-hand corner, and then it flows all the way down through here. A lot of marks on the grass there. So a lot of classes have been exploring the outer limits of the new track surface here at Knockhill Racing Circuit and exploring the grass around it as well. But the man at the front, the man on form, is Ross Martin in the number 1 car. It's always good to see a number 1 plate on track, but unfortunately Jordan Gronkowski has seen that number 1 plate get smaller and smaller and smaller up the road, and that's not what he wants to do. And what he is seeing is the number 88 car behind him getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So Sebastian Melrose really will be featuring in this championship. And look at this though, behind them we've got Gary Sykes. Neil Broom gets a good slipstream, he's pulling out alongside as they go under the Beatson's Bridge. Sykes trying to defend on the inside, but Broom's already passed. Good driving from Neil Broom there. He must have set that up as they come through the hairpin, got a good drive up the main straight, and he's managed to make that one count. And look at Chisholm, ever opportunistic. Chisholm tries to go through at McIntyre's, but it just is not to be. Completely unaware of what's happening behind him, Ross Martin powers up through Clark Corner, and he's smoothed his style out quite considerably now as Gronkowski comes through, and he's put a bit of a distance between himself and Melrose as Neil Broom comes through, again sliding over the top there. Quick check of the mirrors each side as he comes through. We can actually see right into the mirror of Neil Broom there. That's a cracking shot there. There's not a car in it just now, so that's a nice view for Neil to be seeing. But look at Matthew Chisholm at the hairpin, up the inside. Can he make that stick? Oh, a little bit of sideways as he goes into the corner, but he managed to pull it back, and they're side by side out the hairpin, up the main straight. Neil Broom will be having a great view of this as they come up the main straight, and Chisholm should hopefully have that move signed, sealed, delivered by the time they get to Duffus. Let's see how this unfolds. Big deep breath for Chisholm as he heads for the apex, and he can take that position away from Gary Sykes. And look at Steve Barlow. Steve Barlow in the number 30 car, all over the back of Sykes now. This is a fabulous showing from Steve Barlow. By far and away one of the raciest races we've seen him compete in, as they go over the crest of that tricky left-right chicane and Knockhill with a new left-hand high curb on it as well. So a bit of a curb there for some of the drivers to get their teeth into, as Neil Brown sighs a big sigh of relief, we would imagine, as he heads towards the hairpin. But he will now see the red nose cone on that black Van Diemen of Matthew Chisholm starting to make inroads towards the back of his Ray as we see him coming through the hairpin. In fact, Chisholm having to defend quite heavily from Sykes still So he's got his work cut out from there as young Matthew Chisholm. Fraser Gray comes through as well, and that's also James Clark in the Mygale. It's good to see a Mygale back in Scotland. I do like a good Mygale as they come up over the crest off the main straight, but completely on his own. A majestic drive so far from the man in the number 1 car, Ross Martin. I have to say, I think he's just playing with this now, just stroking off a good few laps as he goes round Knockhill here. You can hear him on the power, nice and aggressive up the back straight towards Clark Corner. And he'll be looking in his mirrors and he knows he's got a nice big gap behind him, a nice big buffer, and that's what you want as a racing driver. Chisholm, Sykes, and then Barlow, the very impressive Steve Barlow this weekend here at Knockhill Racing Circuit, chasing down these two guys ahead of him. Has Steve Barlow got anything in the locker for these guys just up the road? Neil Broom in a little bit of no man's land there. He'll be happy with that though. You can see Sebastian Melrose just ahead of him, and Seb will see that Neil isn't really catching him, so it's not too much of an issue in this, their first race up the main straight. Also important to get every gear change absolutely spot on. Miss a gear in a Formula Ford, guaranteed somebody will be passing you at some point on that straight. Just listen to the cars going in and attacking. Look at them attacking the top of Duffy's Dip. They're fabulous, fabulous camera shots here we have got by the guys from the Edinburgh College, doing a great job filming from the trackside. And now we've lost Jordan Gronkowski there. Now you see that Ross Martin comes through, no Gronkowski, and then through comes Seb Melrose. So Seb Melrose up into second place, and that means Neil Broom goes into third place. So where has Jordan Gronkowski gone? That's what we need to try and figure out. Neil Broom will have a massive, massive smile on his face. He has a smile on his face all the time, but it will be even bigger this time as we have lost Jordan Gronkowski. He won't be smiling for that, he'll be smiling because he's been promoted to the podium. Now Matthew Chisholm says, hang on, I can get a podium here as well. So everybody's starting to up the ante, and just hearing that Jordan Gronkowski's retired and he's parked at the Tri-Oval, we could just catch a quick glimpse of him there at the top of the Tri-Oval. What a shame for young Jordan just not to be, it would seem. However, that has given Seb Melrose second place on the podium just now. He's going to have to keep going though, because there's Neil Broom who's in third place. And look at Matt Chisholm. Wow, Chisholm sideways over the top of Duffy's Dip there, making that look absolutely spot on. This young man really has got on so well with these new cars. For years and years he campaigned in 1992 Van Diemen, and it just didn't have the pace. He really got as fast as he could go in that car. Ever since getting in the newer style car. Oh, that's a big spin for Fraser Gray there as I'm rambling on about something to do with Matthew Chisholm's old cars. Fraser Gray loops his car at the exit of the chicane. Let's hope he can select a gear and get away from where he is there as Ross Martin comes through the hairpin. So you can see Fraser went through the chicane there, and it just looked like the back end of the car stepped away from him, and round he went onto the grass on the inside, and unfortunately he is out of that one there. He will get going again. James Clark was lucky enough to miss him as we see Ross Martin again. Look at the style of this young man. We know how quick he can be. And the National Championship, well, they're going to have to watch out because Ross Martin was a newcomer last year. This year he means business. They're carrying the number 1 plate as the reigning Scottish champion through the chicane over the skid marks led by Fraser Gray, who's thankfully managed to vacate that area. Through goes young Seb Melrose as well up the back straight, and then Neil Broom still in a fabulous, fabulous third place. Then look at that, the next three guys all going through. Chisholm bounces over the curbs ahead of Sykes, and then Steve Barlow up towards Clark Corner. Steve Barlow's bound to be thinking that he can do something towards the end of this race, and he's now running out of time. There's Jordan Gronkowski. You can see him parked just beside the Falkland Performance Centre sign there. Disaster for Jordan Gronkowski running in second place, but look at this, round the outside of the hairpin. Gary Sykes tries it, and he's now left himself lame on the inside, and here comes Steve Barlow. Has Steve Barlow got the drive up the straight? Can he make this one count? They're side by side. If anything, Barlow has the position as they go across the start-finish line. So Gary Sykes tries to attack Chisholm, loses a little bit of grip mid-corner, sideways, and then through comes Steve Barlow, who, as I've said earlier on, Steve Barlow looking very, very impressive and extremely racy this weekend at Knockhill Racing Circuit. As Ross Martin, pause for breath there, comes through Clark Corner and heads towards the hairpin. Look at the size of the gap behind him. It's absolutely massive. And he'll be liking it. He can almost look over his shoulder as he comes at the hairpin to try and see where Seb comes in. And he'll be happy with this one. Up past the pits again. He'll be getting a nice big pit board, tell him just exactly how good the gap is behind him. As look at these two at the hairpin. That was a block pass if you've ever seen one. Gary Sykes takes that position back from Steve Barlow, and Steve Barlow won't be happy about that. That was quite a severe overtake that from Gary Sykes. But look at this, Barlow not going to go around the outside. He does. He goes round the outside at the top of Duffus Dip. That is one of the bravest moves you can do at Knocker Racing Circuit. And Steve Barlow pulls that one out his back pocket and rubs it in the face of Gary Sykes. Absolutely stunning stuff. Stunning from Steve Barlow. I've got to say, Steve, 10 out of 10, way up in my estimation there. I'm very, very impressed with that move. Commentator's getting a bit of a wriggle on here, as Ross Martin gets a wriggle on as well, clicking down the laps up the main straight. He's almost got half to 3/4 of the straight lead over Seb Melrose now. Great for Ross Martin, disaster for Seb Melrose. He won't be happy about that size of a lead, as these two guys still in a bare-knuckle fist fight, Sykes and Barlow, and you have to think this could possibly only end one way. In a handful of fiberglass and gravel. Let's hope the guys keep it nice and clean. Barlow's not going to be overtaken on the brakes and towards Duffus Dip. We've seen how strong he is through the top of that and through the left-hander Leslie's. All over the back of him though is Gary Sykes, and Gary Sykes, try as he will, he's not going to do anything silly, that's for sure, in this, the first race of the season. But Steve Barlow has put everything on the line, but here it comes. It's checker flag time for Ross Martin. He takes a dominant, commanding race win. Second place is going to be for Seb Melrose, and these guys still fighting at the hairpin, but Sykes, try as he may, is not going to have this one as they come up towards the start-finish line. There goes Neil Broom, he goes through, Matt Chisholm goes through. Hold your breath, folks, here they come, battling towards the line. It is Steve Barlow from Gary Sykes. What a fabulous, fabulous Formula 4 battle there. But there's no mistaking your winner. Today, race number 1, defending champion Ross Martin takes that one, and he will be smiling all the way back round. Takes it from Sebastian Seb Melrose, Neil Broom, Matthew Chisholm, Stevie Barlow, Gary Sykes, James Clark. Fraser Gray does recover from a spin. Unfortunately, Jordan Gokowski didn't feature, and neither did Ross Howe.